Hello students, welcome to a video lecture on Vocabulary and Grammar for Academic Writing, Unit 5 of Writing for Academic and Professional Success. Before we begin, I'd like you to keep your textbook along with you, make important notes on it, or you mark the important lines on your textbook and give particular attention to the tables given in your textbook. I have not included the tables in the slides. You can use it with your textbook. You can look at the tables in your textbook while I am explaining the chapter. This is a very simple chapter. You can understand it very easily even without the listening to the audio. So feel free and listen to the audio, and if you have any doubts regarding the chapter or the way I'm dealing with it, feel free to ask the questions in the comment section, and please take note of it, because the comments the questions you ask in the comment section should be related to this chapter. Okay, let's start. So the main objectives of main learning objectives of this chapter is to understand the important points to remember while writing for academic purpose, and to familiarize with a list of words to attain the vocabulary that is needed for academic writing. Familiarize with sentence structure, discourse markers, and grammar of formal writing. The first and most important thing discussed in the chapter is revising words and sentences. Revision. So when you write something, when you are submitting an assignment, even if in college or in your academic or your professional office, when you submit something, that leaves an impression of yourself. It will be a permanent impression. If you make any mistake, that can be very costly. So it is very necessary to take care to avoid mistakes. If you are making mistakes while you are talking, you can correct it. But when you submit an assignment, you will not be able to retrieve it and correct it. Therefore, before you submit something, you have to read and revise and edit your mistakes. This is a very important factor in academic writing. So revision helps you to realize your mistakes. As I told you, your words and sentences should be edited and revised. Also, you have to remove unnecessary words and expression, and to make it very precise, clear and effective. Sometimes we have the tendency to write in very long sentences which are not required. So it should be very precise. ആവശ്യത്തിന് മാത്രമുള്ള വേർഡ്സ് ഉണ്ടാകാൻ പാടുള്ളൂ. വെറുതെ പേജ് നിറക്കാനുള്ള വേർഡ്സ് ഉണ്ടാവരുത്. മിസ്റ്റേക്സ് ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അത് എഡിറ്റ് ചെയ്യണം. So revision is very important. Next slide will tell you key points regarding revision. So first thing is that you should ensure that your vocabulary is appropriate. So the kind of words you are using should be appropriate to what you are writing. Each academic field, each discipline will have its own writing styles. So the words you use should be suitable to the purpose, suitable to your purpose. Then you should avoid conversational style. You should not write as if you are talking. You avoid slang expressions, non-standard diction. The words should be very formal. Then diversify your sentence. What is diversifying sentences? If you use the sentences of the same length, same word order, same type, it will be very boring. To add attraction to your writing, there should be simple, complex, compound, all kind of sentences, all types of expression should come in equitable amount. So diversifying your sentence is very important, and it is during the process of revision you can diversify the sentence. All wordy expressions, very redundant expressions, wordy lengthy sentences should be eliminated. And you should use parallelism. What is parallelism? We'll discuss later on. And you should maintain the tense, use strong verbs and remove weak verbs. So ഇതെല്ലാം വളരെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻ്റ് ആയ കാര്യങ്ങളാണ്. കേൾക്കുമ്പോൾ സിമ്പിളായിട്ട് തോന്നും, പക്ഷെ വെൻ യു റൈറ്റിംഗ് വൊക്കാബുലറി വളരെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻ്റ് ആണ്. പിന്നെ സംസാര ഭാഷ പോലെ എഴുതാൻ പാടില്ല. പിന്നെ നമ്മൾ സ്ലാങ് ആയിട്ട് നാട്ടിൽ സാധാരണ തമ്മിൽ സംസാരിക്കാൻ ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്ന സ്റ്റാൻഡേർഡ് അല്ലാത്ത വാക്കുകളുണ്ടാവും, പ്രയോഗത്തിൽ മാത്രം ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്നത്, ഫോമൽ എഡ്യൂക്കേഷനിൽ ഉപയോഗിക്കാത്തത്. അത്തരം വാക്കുകൾ അക്കാഡമിക് റൈറ്റിംഗ് നമ്മൾ ഒഴിവാക്കേണ്ടതാണ്. പിന്നെ ഒരേ രീതിയിലുള്ള സെൻറ്റൻസ് വായിക്കുമ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് തന്നെ ബോറടിക്കും. അത്തരം സെൻറ്റൻസസിന് വെറൈറ്റി ഉണ്ടാക്കുക, ഡിഫറൻസസ് ഉണ്ടാക്കുക. പിന്നെ പാരലലിസം, ടെൻസ് വളരെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻ്റ് ആണ്. നിങ്ങൾ ഒരു ടെൻസിൽ പാസ്റ്റ് ടെൻസിലാണ് എഴുതുന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അത് കൺസിസ്റ്റൻ്റ് ആയിട്ട് പാസ്റ്റ് ടെൻസിൽ എഴുതുക. പ്രസൻറ്റ് ടെൻസിലാണെങ്കിൽ കൺസിസ്റ്റൻ്റ് ആയിട്ട് പ്രസൻറ്റ് ടെൻസിൽ എഴുതുക. സ്ട്രോങ് വേർബ്സ് ആണ് കൂടുതൽ നല്ലത്. സോ വൊക്കാബുലറി വളരെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻ്റ് ആണ്. അപ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾ ഒരു എസ്സേ എഴുതുകയാണ് ആൻഡ് യു യൂസിങ് ദ സെയിം വേർഡ്, റിപ്പീറ്റിംഗ് ദ വേർഡ് അഗെയിൻ ആൻഡ് അഗെയിൻ, ഇറ്റ് വിൽ മേക്ക് യുവർ വർക്ക് വെരി അൺഅട്രാക്റ്റീവ്. So, to make your academic writing formal, the words you choose is very important. Sentences has to be very precise and clear. Writing has to be effective. So, vocabulary is very important. Should be formal, should be precise and clear. Avoid unnecessary words, informal expressions. You have to communicate the idea very clearly. Appropriate ആയ വാക്ക് ഉപയോഗിക്കുക. Then you have to use discourse markers to link ideas and to signal transition. Avoid wordiness. So now we are moving on to academic word list. Academic word list means the high frequency words used in academic writing. These are the words often repeated in academic writing. It's not just in English or disciplines related to English literature these words are repeated. These words are repeated across disciplines. Even if it's computer science or your hotel management, if you're writing an academic write-up, there are certain set of words we continuously use. So academic words list is that list of words. So learning this list will help you in writing academic assignments. So you'll know which word to use and which word to avoid. So there is a requisite of learning these words. You have to know the elementary words in English first. If you know the elementary words in English, if you go through the list, you can very effectively improve your academic writing assignments. So Avril Coxett, she's the one of the earliest person who compiled AWL. So there are various list of academic vocabulary, academic words. So she is one of the person who made a academic words list. She went through different papers. She read a lot of research papers from various disciplines and she came up with 570 important words. And she prepared this academic word list. So she's from Victoria University. Now look at the table 5.1. You'll find words like analyze, analysis, established, occur, approach, estimate, percent, period, policy, benefit, issues, definition, legal, legislation. So these are some of the words of her list. If you read this table some 3 or 4 times, some of the you will familiarize with these words, and next time you're writing an assignment, when required you can use these words. So there are a set of words that should be avoided in academic writing. This is also very crucial. ഏതൊക്കെ വേർഡ്സാണ് ഉപയോഗിക്കേണ്ടത് എന്നറിയുന്നത് പോലെ തന്നെ ഏതൊക്കെ വേർഡ്സ് ഉപയോഗിക്കാൻ പാടില്ല എന്നും നമുക്ക് അറിയേണ്ടതുണ്ട്. സോ അപ്രോപ്രിയേറ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള സൂട്ടബിൾ ആയിട്ടുള്ള വേർഡ്സാണ് നമ്മൾ ഓരോ അസൈൻമെൻറ്റിനും സൂട്ടബിൾ ആയിട്ടുള്ള വേർഡ്സ് നമ്മൾ യൂസ് ചെയ്യണം. So you study different kind of academic writing in using this textbook. There are various styles of writing, and various disciplines demand various types of writing. So with each type of academic writing, appropriate vocabulary also changes. So you have to know which should be used in which context. So if you look at the table 5.2, you will get a fair idea of what not to be used. Contracted forms. This you have to be very careful. You see that can't, isn't, doesn't, won't. These are contracted forms. Academic writing assignment എഴുതുന്ന സമയത്ത് can't എന്ന് എഴുതാൻ പാടില്ല, cannot എന്ന് തന്നെ എഴുതണം. Then informal verbs, phrasal verbs. As academic writing you don't use phrasal verbs. Then emphasize words, intensifiers, like a bit of, a lot of, couple of. These are all informal words. You shouldn't be using this in academic writing. Then informal transitions like so, anyway, but, also. And first person and second person point of view should be completely avoided if it's not this should be used only when required in narrative writing. If the question is precisely about your point of view. Otherwise, use this first person and remove this first person and second person. Always talk in the third person. Very simple expression like it is very good, it is very bad, big, nice. These things should be avoided. And then avoid absolute quantity. So in academic research, you can't find everything in absolute. So it's usually in our everyday circumstance that we use all and every. If you're talking about a movie, you can say that all of us enjoyed. But when you're writing an assignment, you can't be very sure that you can use all these absolute quantities. So avoid absolutes. Then best, worst, most, always, never, all these superlatives that you find in words that you find in letters. Dear, cheers, love, best wishes. This should be avoided. And abbreviations. This is a common mistake students these days make a lot. Because of this habit of WhatsApping and messaging and all, you usually contract words into abbreviations. So these should not be used in academic writing. Then slang expressions like dude, cool, kidding. These are only expressions. These are not formal way of writing. Then cliched expressions. Cliched expressions means those expressions which have been used again and again and lost its value. Brave as a lion, fit as a fiddle. Then highly subjective expressions. Highly subject, you know the difference between being subjective and being objective. Subjective refers to your opinion. Such words, such expressions should be avoided. You shouldn't be vague or impolite. Ethnic, racist, words, racist kind of expressions like niggers, colored, gypsy, madrasi. You should avoid that. And you should avoid discriminatory words which are associated to inability, disabilities, physical and mental disabilities like deaf, dumb, crippled, handicapped. Avoid these words. And you should also avoid gender specific words. So when you're writing about people in general, we have the habit of using the pronoun he, and also expressions like policeman, gunman, mankind, female. Instead of these words, you should use words that are more inclusive. Chairperson instead of chairman. Then avoid approximation, texting languages, non-standard diction. You should avoid filler words which have no meaning, which have only added to fill the space. Redundant expressions like absolutely essential. Redundant phrases here mean that absolutely also carries the meaning of essential. You need to repeat essential with absolutely. Each and every, they both mean the same thing. Actual facts. Actual things are called facts. In Indian say actual facts. These redundant phrases should be avoided. Then qualifiers should be limited. You need qualifiers, but don't use it excessively. We have talked about absolutes already. And avoid personal judgments. And what are qualifiers? Qualifiers are words uh, which you express doubt. You're not sure. You're talking about something and you're not sure. It appears like that. It seems the weather is bad. You're not sure whether the bad weather is bad or not. It seems the exam is tough for the fourth grade students. You don't know in exactly whether it's tough or not. So such expressions. These expressions become necessary when you're doubtful about the accuracy of your claim. നിങ്ങൾ പറയുന്ന കാര്യത്തിൽ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഉറപ്പില്ലാണ്ടിരിക്കുമ്പോഴാണ് ക്വാളിഫയേഴ്സ് യൂസ് ചെയ്യുക. അപ്പോൾ ക്വാളിഫയേഴ്സ് കണ്ടാൽ അതിൻ്റെ അർത്ഥം എന്താണ്? നിങ്ങൾ വളരെ റിസർച്ച് ചെയ്ത് ഉറപ്പുള്ള ഒരു കാര്യം പറയുമ്പോൾ ഇത്തരത്തിലുള്ള ക്വാളിഫയേഴ്സ് അതിൻ്റെ ഇടയിൽ ആഡ് ചെയ്താൽ അതിൻ്റെ അർത്ഥം എന്തായി? നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഉറപ്പില്ല എന്നായി. ഉറപ്പില്ലാത്ത കാര്യത്തിനെ കുറിച്ച് നിങ്ങൾ പറയുന്നതെന്നായി. അപ്പോൾ പരമാവധി ക്വാളിഫയേഴ്സ് ഉപയോഗിക്കാണ്ടിരിക്കുക. So these are the qualifiers. So it will reduce the strength of your claim. Then you have some alternative expressions. Like what you can use instead of the words you usually use. So we usually use don't, won't, shouldn't. Should be expanded to do not, will not, and should not. Personal pronouns should be avoided. You'll never say in this essay I have argued. So I have seen this when I have given assignment for reviewing a novel, play, or movie. I enjoyed the movie. Students usually write in my opinion. You should avoid such expression. It should always be in a third person point of view. Or you can change this sentence into in this essay I have argued that into in this essay it is argued that. Then you should avoid informal verbs and phrasal verbs. For bad you can use inferior, deficit. Good is acceptable. Go on, instead of go on you can use continue. Put off is a phrasal verb. This should be replaced with postpone. Big is substantial or enormous. And colloquial expressions like sooner or later is informal situation. The word is inevitably. Stumbling block is impediment. Then you should avoid run-on expressions. Instead, you can use a conjunction with the last item, that is cricket, football, volleyball, etc. Instead of writing that, you can write cricket, football and volleyball. Two informal expression should be removed, and the entire sentence should be rephrased. So you have a set of examples showing how redundant expressions can the unnecessary part from the redundant expressions can be removed. Instead of writing absolutely essential, it is simply write essential. Instead of still remains, you can write remains. It mean both means the same thing. You don't need to give advance warning. Warning itself and is an it is a thing that you give before something happens. So warning, simply you write warning. So if you are using vague expression, when you are revising it, use more clearer expression. Don't write stuff, you should write luggage. You have to be more clear and precise. Remove subjective expressions and put alternatives like perceptibly, understandably in its places. Use acceptable expressions. For you don't write nigger, write African. As I told you, gendered expressions should be changed. Fireman, instead of writing fireman, you have to write firefighter. Then personal and judgmental expressions should be reconstructed. Write a full form of abbreviations like bro, prof, sec. Okay, all these abbreviations should be expanded. You should write words and not write symbols in between academic writing. Now we are going to talk about discourse markers. What is a discourse? Have you ever heard the word discourse? Discourse is a unit of language. We usually say that sentence is the unit of language. Sentence is the unit that makes sense. But the meaning of any utterance, the meaning of any speech will not be contained in a single sentence. Right? നമ്മൾ സംസാരിക്കുമ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ പറയുന്നതിൻ്റെ മീനിങ് ഒരു സെൻറ്റൻസിൽ മാത്രം ഒതുങ്ങി നിൽക്കില്ല. അതൊരു സെറ്റ് ഓഫ് വേർഡ്സ് ആയിട്ടാണ് ഉണ്ടാവുക. ചിലപ്പോൾ സെൻറ്റൻസിനെക്കാളും ചെറുതായിട്ട് എക്സ്പ്രഷനിൽ വരും, ചിലപ്പോൾ 2, 3, 4 സെൻറ്റൻസ് ഉണ്ടാവും. ഈ ഒരു യൂണിറ്റിനാണ് ഡിസ്കോഴ്സ് എന്ന് പറയുക. അപ്പോൾ discourse markers are the linking words and expression that link these discourses, one discourse with another. They also call sentence connectors, linking words, linking phrases, transitional signs. Okay? So let us look at table 5.5. So these are the discourse markers. Discourse markers are of two types, formal and informal. In academic writing, you should be more concerned with discourse marker, the formal discourse markers. So what are the uses of discourse markers? This help you to sequence ideas. The discourse markers help you to bring ideas one after another, like firstly, secondly. It help you to balance contrasting point. Or you can write you wrote about an idea, then you write in the same way or on the contrary, these contrasts to introduce new ideas. In addition, furthermore, you can emphasize, clarify, soften a point, change subject, present a counter argument, clarify point, You can sum up, you can draw conclusions using these discourse markers. So ഡിസ്കോഴ്സ് മാർക്കേഴ്സ് യൂസ് ചെയ്തിട്ടാണ് എന്ത് ചെയ്യുക, ഒരു സെൻറ്റൻസിനെ മറ്റൊരു സെൻറ്റൻസുമായിട്ട് നമ്മൾ കണക്ട് ചെയ്യുക. എപ്പോഴും അക്കാഡമിക് റൈറ്റിങ്ങിൽ പറയുന്ന സെൻറ്റൻസസ് തമ്മിൽ കണക്ഷൻ ഉണ്ടാവും. അപ്പോൾ ഐഡിയാസ് ഒന്നിന് പുറകെ ഒന്നായി പറയാൻ വേണ്ടി, ഡിഫറെൻ്റ് ഐഡിയാസിനെ, കോൺട്രാസ്റ്റിംഗ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഐഡിയാസിനെ ബാലൻസ് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടി, പുതിയൊരാശയം കൊണ്ടുവരാൻ വേണ്ടി, പറയുന്നത് ക്ലിയർ ആക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി, പുതിയ സബ്ജക്റ്റ് ഇൻട്രൊഡ്യൂസ് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടി, കൺക്ലൂഡ് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടിയൊക്കെയാണ് നമ്മൾ ഡിസ്കോഴ്സ് മാർക്കേഴ്സ് യൂസ് ചെയ്യുക. നൗ we are moving on to the other section, another section 5.7, completeness of a sentence. What is a sentence? Sentence you have studied from a lower class that it presents a complete idea. It will have a subject and a verb. So sentence is the basic unit that presents a complete thought. മുഴുവനായിട്ടൊരു ആശയം പറയുന്ന ഒരു വാചകത്തിനെയാണ് നമ്മൾ സെൻറ്റൻസ് എന്ന് പറയുക. സെൻറ്റൻസ് കംപ്ലീറ്റ് ആവുക എന്നുള്ളത് അക്കാഡമിക് റൈറ്റിങ്ങിൽ വളരെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻ്റ് ആണ്. ആൻഡ് സെൻറ്റൻസിൽ 2 ടൈപ്പ് ക്ലോസസ് ഉണ്ടാവും. ഇൻഡിപെൻഡൻറ്റ് ക്ലോസും ഉണ്ടാവും, ഡിപ്പെൻഡൻറ്റ് ക്ലോസ് ഉണ്ടാവും. ഡിപ്പെൻഡൻറ്റ് ക്ലോസിനെ നമ്മൾ സബോർഡിനേറ്റ് ക്ലോസ് എന്നും കൂടി പറയും. ഇൻഡിപെൻഡൻറ്റ് ക്ലോസ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ദീസ് ആർ ഗ്രൂപ്പ് ഓഫ് വേർഡ്സ് ദാറ്റ് ക്യാൻ സ്റ്റാൻഡ് അലോൺ ആൻഡ് ഇറ്റ് വിൽ ഗിവ് എൻ ഐഡിയ. If you look into your textbook, you'll find a sentence, Sarida caught jaundice on her way to Mumbai. She suffered a lot. So these sentences can, these pieces of sentences can stand alone. They present an idea. These are independent clauses. And compared to this, there is a dependent clause, which are also a group of words, but they cannot they cannot stand alone. They need the support of an independent clause to make sense. So, when I was at school, I used to sing patriotic songs. This is the complete sentence. The part, I used to sing patriotic song. It can stand alone. It will make sense. It will give you an idea. So, this is an independent clause. But when you say when I was at school, it's not complete. The idea is not complete there. So, that is an dependent clause. So why is this important? Incomplete sentences hinder your communication. They don't completely provide ideas. So when you are writing, you have to be very careful that if you are writing a very long sentence, there should be at least one independent clause. Your sentence should be complete. Next thing regarding sentences is diversifying sentence. So while we were discussing revision, we discussed about the importance of diverse sentences. There are different types of sentence: simple, compound, complex, compound, complex. And we should have different lengths of sentences. എല്ലാം ഒരുപോലെ ആയാൽ ഭയങ്കര ബോറിംഗ് ആയിരിക്കും. So you have to diversify sentences. And you can look at table 5.7. So there are simple, compound, complex and compound complex sentence given there. Simple sentence means there is only one independent clause. You have a subject, a verb and a complete thought. Compound means 2 independent clause. Complex means 1 independent clause and one or more dependent clause. You have the examples also there. 2 or more independent clause and 1 or more dependent clause is called compound complex sentences. Next section is regarding fragments. What are fragments? Fragment is an error. Fragment is an incomplete sentence. It's a disconnected piece of main clause. So when you don't write in complete sentences, it becomes a fragment. that need to be revised. So you look at the conversation in the next page. When are you planning to visit Amsterdam? Towards the end of the March or beginning of the April? Here the sense is there. When you're talking to each other, you get the sense. But when you're writing, the Firoz's reply is incomplete. It's only a fragment. So the actual complete sentence when you are writing for academic purpose should be, I am planning to visit Amsterdam towards the end of March or the beginning of April. So you should always write in complete sentences. Even if your fragment makes sense, you should complete the sentence. So the easiest way to complete the sentence is to link it with the adjacent sentence. ഏറ്റവും എളുപ്പം ഈ ഫ്രാഗ്മെൻറ്റ് കറക്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ അടുത്ത സെൻറ്റൻസുമായിട്ട് അതിനെ ലിങ്ക് ചെയ്യുക എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. Next, an important thing is subject verb agreement. So usually students make mistakes in this. You know that from a very early age you learn that a singular subject takes a singular verb and a plural subject takes a plural verb. This is the basic rule. It's very easy in simple sentences, but when the sentences are very complicated, when you use compound or complex sentence, this becomes very difficult. When your subject is compound, like neither my mother nor her friends, then inverted subject, when the subject order is changed, how are the students responding? Here subject is coming after the verb. And in case of collective nouns, phrases, clauses, so in case of these get you confused whether to use plural or singular. This you have to understand. To understand what the subject is, you have to see whether the subject is singular or plural, then decide on the whether to use singular or plural verb. If you look at table 5.8, you'll get a list of which is the plural subject and which is the singular subject. This will give you a fair idea while you are writing for academic purpose. Either Rani or Raja. When two subjects are connected with either and or, it is taken as a singular subject. Even though there are two persons, when it's either or, the subject is singular. When the same two people are connected with and, it's a plural subject. Neither nor also follows either or. Either or, neither nor, or. These are subjects thus connected are singular subjects. Subject which are connected using and, or when these words either or, when either or, neither nor, or connect plural subjects like his friends or his colleagues, they are plural. When you are listing items, it's singular. Like a bouquet of flowers, one of my friends, rose or lily, bread and butter. These are singular. Bread and butter is singular because you are listing. Okay. Next important thing to note is tenses. You have to keep the tense very consistent. You can't use one tense, present tense in one sentence and past tense in the very next sentence. It will be treated as poor writing skill. But when the time frame of the subject changes, when you suddenly talk about incident that happened in past tense, you were continually talking about things that happened in present tense, and suddenly you were talking about past tense, then you can use shifting tense. Then you can shift the tense. Otherwise, when you're talking about this incident that happened in the same time frame, you have to use the same tense. So, usually narrative writing take past tense because you are narrating an incident that happened before. When you are doing a critical analysis, you will write in present tense. Next is parallelism. Parallelism is a very important stylistic feature where ideas are presented using grammatically or structurally identical or similar words. Example വെച്ചിട്ട് പറയുമ്പോൾ you will get it more easily. Look at the example there. The poem is lyrical, long, interesting and meaningful. ഈ lyrical, long, interesting, meaningful ഇത് നാലും adjectives ആണ്. അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് അത് അടുത്തടുത്ത് പ്ലേസ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ളത്. Kiran worked enthusiastically, consistently and evenly. ഇത് മൂന്നും adverbs ആണ്. അല്ലാതെ Kiran works enthusiastically, he is consistent and evenly എന്ന് പറയാൻ പറ്റില്ല. നിങ്ങൾ പറയുന്നത് മൂന്നും പറയുന്ന എല്ലാ ആഡ്വേർബായാലും ആഡ്ജക്റ്റീവായാലും ഒരേ രീതിയിലായിരിക്കണം. നിങ്ങൾ ആഡ്വേർബാണ് യൂസ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ത്രൂ ഔട്ട് ആഡ്വേർബാണ് ലിസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുക. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ആഡ്ജക്റ്റീവ് ആണെങ്കിൽ ത്രൂ ഔട്ട് ആഡ്ജക്റ്റീവ്. Read, think and write. These three are verbs. Now, let us look at some non-parallel sentences and discuss what parallelism is. He used his Saturdays for practicing, playing and to eat sandwiches. Practicing, playing എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് to eat വരുമ്പോൾ അത് നോൺ പാരലൽ ആണ്. അത് ഒരേപോലത്തെ സ്ട്രക്ചർ അല്ല ഉള്ളത്. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മളത് എന്ത് ചെയ്യും? പ്ലേയിങ്, പ്രാക്ടീസിങ് ആൻഡ് ഈറ്റിംഗ്. അപ്പോൾ എപ്പോഴും ഒരേപോലത്തെ ഐഡിയാസാണ് ഒന്നിച്ച് ലിസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ പ്രസൻറ്റ് ചെയ്യാം. സോ നോൺ പാരലൽ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ വേർബിൻ്റെ പല രീതിയിലുള്ള ഫോംസ് മിക്സ് ചെയ്തിട്ടാണ്. ഇപ്പോൾ കണ്ട പോലെ ING ഫോമും ടു ഫോമും മിക്സ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. പാർട്സ് ഓഫ് സ്പീച്ചിനെ മിസ്മാച്ച് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. Then nouns with different number. If you're talking about nouns as a list, എല്ലാ നൗണും ഒരേ നമ്പറിലായിരിക്കണം. ഇങ്ങനെ 1 van, many buses, 100 cars, ഇത് മൂന്നും ഒരുമിച്ച് പറയാൻ പറ്റില്ല. സബ്ജക്റ്റ് മാറ്ററിൽ ചിലപ്പം മിസ്മാച്ച് വരും. സോ വെൻ യു ആർ റിവൈസിങ് ദിസ് യുവർ അക്കാഡമിക് റൈറ്റിംഗ്, ഇങ്ങനെ കുറേ മിസ്റ്റേക്സ് വന്നിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. യു ഹാവ് ടു കറക്റ്റ് ഓൾ ദീസ് മിസ്റ്റേക്സ്. ദെൻ വേർഡിനെസ് വേറൊരു പ്രോബ്ലമാണ്. ചുരുങ്ങിയ വാക്കിൽ പറയേണ്ട കാര്യം നീട്ടി പരത്തി പറയാം. ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് ഓൾസോ കൺസിഡേർഡ് ആസ് എൻ എറർ ഇൻ അക്കാഡമിക് റൈറ്റിംഗ്. It refers to the imperfection caused by the use of more words than meaning demands. ഇപ്പോൾ ഒരു വാക്കിൽ അർത്ഥം വരുമെങ്കിൽ ആ ഒരു വാക്കിൽ മാത്രം എഴുതിയാൽ മതി. You find some quotations there, right? Brevity is the soul of wit. So let us look at some examples. There was a time when the Arakan forest turtle was thought by scientists to be extinct. There was a time in Bagaram, we can simply use once. They both mean the same thing. You needn't be very wordy, instead use once. That is the more precise expression. You can go through the other expression and find out what is the wordy expression that has been replaced by a single word. Now the question is, how will we eliminate wordiness? While editing and revising work, avoid these unnecessary words and use simple single words. So there will be one word equivalent for many words. So in close proximity to, the one word equivalent is the very simple near. You can use near instead. So I already talked to you about redundant expressions like advance, reservation, meet together. Just write meet, confrontation, reservation, custom, repeat, either repeat or again. This will reduce your wordiness. And avoid sentence openers like it, there is, there are. ഇറ്റ് ദർ ഈസ് ദർ ആറിൽ തുടങ്ങുന്ന സെൻറ്റൻസുകൾ എപ്പോഴും വളരെ ലെങ്തി ആയിരിക്കും. അതിനെ റീസ്ട്രക്ചർ ചെയ്യുക. റെഡ്യൂസ് ദാറ്റ് ആൻഡ് വിച്ച്. ദർ വിൽ ബി എ ലോട്ട് ഓഫ് ദാറ്റ് ആൻഡ് വിച്ച് ഇൻ യുവർ റൈറ്റിംഗ്. റെഡ്യൂസ് ദം. And avoid all those unnecessary qualifiers and intensifiers. Avoid words like very, quite, just. Simplify your sentence text structure. That will effectively reduce the word length. So these are the main points discussed in this chapter. Now I want you to go through the points to remember part and understand the chapter very well. I hope you understood the chapter. This is a very simple one. If you have any doubt, you can post your queries in the comment section. So for the time being, thank you.